Good morning. Hope you all doing well today. My name is Nick. All that's behind me is my garden cat, and this is a Tieto Permaculture vlog. Otto is my co-star, though some mornings he doesn't really want to star, so we'll see what happens today. So today's going to be just a general kind of garden homestead update back here. It's been about a week since I've done one of those, and we've done quite a bit of work back here in that week, so I just want to show you a couple of things what we did in case you missed it. I did not vlog yesterday, my apologies. I was feeling a little bit under the weather, and I just needed to kind of take a rest day, so that's what I did. We actually went to the beach, Katie and I. It's the first time I went to the beach since this whole coronavirus pandemic started, and I was supposed to work and it got canceled, so it was kind of a very welcome turn of events, actually. You know, I would have really loved to be working, but having that day off and being able to go to the beach and kind of jump into that salt water for the first time, that was really, really nice for me. So, plus I was feeling under the weather, so it kind of worked out perfectly. So, anywho, we're gonna get started, and we'll see what we get up to today. Let's go. There's Otto. There he is. How you doing, bud? He's being very playful this morning, I've noticed. Let's see. Otto's very playful this morning. I actually found him out. I don't know if Katie let him out before she went to teach this morning or what the deal was, but he was out this morning. It's kind of weird. It's my little rain gauge. So you can see that there. I'll move you so I can see if you can see it. Yep, there you go. So we actually got a really nice deep rain last night, or yesterday evening. So that's nice. It was a nice kind of cool off from the hot day. Gave all the plants the water they needed from the day, and that was kind of transpirated throughout the day. So that was really nice to see and nice to feel too. So yeah, we don't have to really think about watering today, so that's nice. Checking in the chickens here. There's the rooster. He's a little bit feisty this morning, and here's Mama, who wants to go lay an egg, but I think the other one's in there right now. Let's take a look. Mama, knock knock, knock knock. Ooh, that was pretty. All right, you do your thing. Not interested. Here's the cat getting pretty interested in what the rooster's up to as well. See if we can get this on camera today. They often have a little back and forth that they do. Yeah. Cat thought about it, but then the rooster started doing his little rooster dance, and no longer. Chickens seem good. They have water. They have food. They do need a little bit of bedding, as you can see down here. I have a little bit of bare soil visible. And I am still trying to build this up to do a compost pile. I thought I would do that this week, but I ended up being a little bit busier than I thought I was going to be. So I didn't get around to doing the compost pile this week, but I'm going to continue to add nice mulch material in here to begin the breakdown process for a compost pile very soon. I think at this point I have enough material. I'd like a little bit more just to be on the safe side, because when making compost piles, guys, you always need more material than you think you do. You want at least a cubic meter, or about 1.5 cubic feet, or cubic yards, that is. And that adds up really quickly. And you can think that you have enough and you're all good, but often you're just wrong. Or at least I've been wrong. I've thought, oh, I have so much, I'm planning to make a compost pile a day, and I build it, it's only about 2 feet tall, and really you want it to be about 3.5, 4 feet tall to really have enough of that mass to get that nice hot compost action going. And that's what you're going for in a compost pile. You want to make sure you get your compost pile hot. Now, you can do a static pile that takes a little bit more time. There's no problem with that. It's just if you want really high quality compost that is free of weed seeds and free of any pathogens or anything like that, you really want your compost pile to heat up quite a bit. So something to keep in mind. So my little kind of storage corner, I just got some bedding here. This is pine bedding. I use this a lot. This is what I can buy. It's easily available at the feed store down there. It's mainly used for horse bedding, but I really like it right after I clear all the bedding material in there to build a compost pile. I like to throw this down because it tends to last much longer than, say, this hay bale, the straw bale right here. it stays much longer, and I also want to be promoting much more fungi in my compost piles, because that's just what I'm going for back here. I want more fungi in my soil just to help hold my stability. So I like to have a lot of woody material in there. So I find that this bedding, this pine bedding here, works really well if I just leave it out there and let them take care of it for quite some time. It breaks down really well, it gets the fungal networks going, and it also smells nice, which is a huge benefit with chickens, because if you've kept chickens before, or if you're thinking about keeping chickens, things can get stinky real quick. Real quick if you don't take care of it right. And pretty much you can almost always take care, sorry about that. Pretty much you can almost always take care of the smell by adding carbon material of some sort of bedding or mulch. And if you can get a bedding or mulch that has a nice smell to it, like wood chips from a nice aromatic tree, then that's a benefit, because then you can have a nice smell and carbon material to help cover up that smell of the manure. I'm just going to spread out this bedding real quick if you'll indulge me. I just do a really kind of basic spread. I let them do most of the work for me. I just put it wherever there's nice bare patches of soil that I definitely want covered, and then I let them do the rest. So it takes no time at all. You can see the cat's also interested in this process. He's interested mainly because he wants the rooster to come challenge him again. But look at that. That was just maybe a third or a quarter of a hay bale there, and it gave me that much coverage, some nice deep bedding, and there's going to be nice food resources in them for the chickens to chow down on, so they'll be happy about that. And it's going to help protect this area and give them something to scratch about. They should be pretty happy. So they have plenty of food today, still from yesterday, so I'm just going to kind of clear out a little bit that bottom, let them eat that from the ground, and then they'll have nice fresh stuff in there. Oh, Mama, you doing all right? Everyone good? And the food I just filled up about 2 days ago. So the water. And this time I actually added a little bit of apple cider vinegar into the water, maybe about 2 or 3 capfuls for that 2 gallon water there. And that's because it's just kind of like an immune boost. It's just like it's just like us, it's like having kombucha, or having a little bit of a tonic with some vinegar in it or some sort. It's just kind of an immune booster. It just helps with digestion and everything. And so I try to give it to them. Every other time I fill up their water, I'll put a little apple cider vinegar in it just to give them a little bit of that kind of immune boost. Looking over here for this garden update, I don't know if you noticed anything different. If you haven't been watching this week's vlogs, let's do it this way. I'll move this line a little bit for you. Anything different, guys? Anything? Give you a hint. It has to do with high shade. Yep. I don't know why I say yeah. Oh, cat really wants to play, but has to do with high shade. I don't know if you remember me constantly looking at my little baby arugulas down here and having to free them from the attacks of the banana flower as it disintegrated and fell down. But right here, no more banana hanging above us. Of course, there's the other bananas here, but the one that was really leaning out, you can see there's the trunk that's cut. So, well, what happened to that banana, you may ask? Well, we harvested the actual banana rack. We harvested the actual banana rack, and that's hanging right here, waiting to be ripened up a little bit more, and then we'll start basically picking right from that banana rack. If birds come and try to eat some of them too, I'm okay with that. I don't mind leaving some for the birds and the bees and the bats that are around here, as Jimmy and Esther over in Rio Grande recommended. I don't mind that at all. I let them have what they want. I don't really know what I was saying there. So there's the bananas, and the banana trunk is now right here. So that massive banana trunk that was up there, I mean, it was huge, guys. That thing probably weighed a good 80 pounds maybe. maybe like 40 kilos if you're in a kilo kind of society. And I used it, I cut it all up, and I used it as bulky mulch for my garden here. And I just transplanted a bunch of little seedlings, so they're helping protect that newly added compost and seedlings and soil moisture and all that right here for me, thanks to the bananas. If you are interested more in that kind of process or that whole story of this week of this kind of banana trunk mulch bed, go ahead and check out my video. First one was from Tuesday, the second one was from Thursday. So I will link I'll link both of those up there. First one maybe Tuesday now. So that was the first one we actually harvested the banana tree. We took it down from up there. It looks much more clear up there, but right there, that was the banana trunk. So we harvested that. We harvested bananas and we harvested that tree. And the same day we prepped this entire bed. So that was Tuesday's video. And then Thursday's video, which I'll link right up here now, is actually the cutting up of all the banana trunks and laying it down as bulk mulch. So if you want to check out what I did and how that went and the process, check those videos out. But what I really like about bulky mulch here in the tropics is it really helps keep that soil moist and protected long term. It also helps control a little bit more all that weed pressure you have in your gardens, because especially in the tropics, things grow so quickly that it's really easy to have the weeds win. Have those plants you don't really want there to take over and lose control of the garden. And bulky mulch helps with that because it helps keep no light getting down to the soil, which keeps the soil cooler and moister, and that's usually tends to be what most plants like. But also it helps prevent those weed seeds from germinating because they're not getting access to light. It makes it harder for any plants to start germinating down there. If there are maybe something that's trying to grow, if it's completely covered by a big old thick bulky piece of mulch, it's probably gonna have a much harder time. So it just kind of helps move things along. Update over here, our cucumbers are going crazy. So many flowers. Hoping for fruit soon. And that's just one vine. Look at all these flowers. You can see there's probably at least 50 flowers down here, guys. So I'm really looking forward to this cucumber harvest, hopefully in the somewhat near future. And I had to add another line of string here. So this time I actually had this baling string, or whatever you call it. So I added that. The first time I used just trimmer line, which worked really well and is still working well. But now we got a whole nother kind of higher one. Ooh. And here's the keeper of the cucumbers right here, this guy. I was just talking to him yesterday, telling him to make sure that no bad bugs come and eat my cucumber. Thanks, bud, for all your hard work. Thank you. He's the boss of this little area. He's claimed this trellis, this little trellis up here as his own. So he's always on here, keeping watch and fighting off all the other little lizards that are scampering through here. Down here, guys, I had a melon that I was trying to get trellised up here and onto the fence here. Well, the chickens kept eating it, so it died. That's life, you know. Can't win them all. It was an experiment, seeing if it would work, and it did not work. So you take that, you learn from it, and you move on. Sunflowers are just about ready to bloom, it looks like. They're thinking about it now, especially this one right here and this one right here. It's really getting ready. These guys are doing super well. Pretty happy about them. Excited to get some more sunflowers. And speaking of sunflower, I actually have one over here that I believe is just about ready to harvest the seed head from. That really big, beautiful one from previous vlogs. Just about ready for harvesting seeds. Down here, we got our watermelon. It's actually doing really well. It actually yellowed a while back and then it came back. But check it out, we got this decently sized watermelon right here already, guys. Pretty excited to see if that goes anywhere. There's a couple on there, I think, smaller ones, but they're on there, and we'll see if we get any more from this. Nice little shiny. So this is basically acting as my ground cover for this whole area. So I'm just going to allow this guy to go all through here and take over and cover the ground for me. And if I get a couple other things growing here, great. I actually seeded a bunch of cilantro, and we actually have some bush beans coming up here that I seeded through here. But this kind of watermelon, I'm hoping it's just going to kind of go all across the ground here and kind of protect the ground layer while we have all these other plants in production in this little area. actually have a ginger here, and it's actually time to mound up around it. So you see when you start seeing these new shoots coming up, and you start seeing these kind of reddish rhizomes coming out, it wants to be mounded. So I actually have to cover that up with some soil so we get a little bit better of a harvest here of the rhizomes at some point. This guy actually was a volunteer. This is probably just a piece of ginger we threw out here when it was about to go bad or something into the compost, because this whole area, guys, was actually where the chickens were. So the chickens, oh hey Otto, need a little love again. He's being really wants attention today, this guy. He wants some attention. Look at him, he wants to play. He wants to play. I'm filming right now. But this whole area, guys, the chickens were actually in here. So the fence now comes down to here. But originally it actually made kind of a jut out here. So it followed the edge of this bed where this line is. It came right out to here and then down. And then it went straight across right about where this footpath is. It went straight across. Instead of having a long rectangular pen, they actually had like an L-shaped pen. So they came in here and prepped this area. So any kind of volunteers I see come up here, I say thank you, chickens, for doing that for me while we had you in this little area and prepping the soil for me so that they could grow. So thanks, chickens. Good on you. This is that massive sunflower that was blooming a while back, and it's starting to get ready for seeds. So I'm going to harvest that really soon. I might give it another day or two out here. This one I can definitely harvest for seeds at this point. You can actually see them in there starting to, all these little seeds. Look at my partner in crime down here, just standing right next to me, looking around the garden with me. He's probably looking for lizards and birds to fly through that he can try to attack. This is hey, no, don't attack that. That's the watermelon. I don't want to attack that, bud. All right, coming up here, this tomatillo right here is actually producing finally at last, and it's just about ready for harvest. This first tomatillo here. So I'll probably harvest that the next day or two, and there's another one right down there, right down in there. But this whole thing, it's really not producing, so I'm actually going to remove it. So it's doing a great job at covering this whole ground, but I have some new zucchini plants I want to plant, and I think this will be a good spot for it, nice and sunny. So I'm going to actually end up removing this, adding some more compost, and then kind of just refreshing it. It's going to hopefully be some future zucchini. And I keep trying to spread out zucchini here because the ones that I have down there, they seem to now be thinking about taking, but they took so long to get started that I just want to try somewhere else to see if it actually see if it was actually the location that I planted them that wasn't so good, or if it was the actual seeds. They're not adapted to here. Maybe they got heat stress when I first planted them. So I'm just trying to experiment and see what's going on so that I can understand and kind of learn where they want to grow on my property. Because you might know everything about zucchini, but you go to a different climate and then you try it and it's a little bit different. Things change, you know. So yeah, I'm just kind of learning as I go, guys. Learning as I go. Tomatoes here after our prune last week. I'll leave that video linked above right here. The tomatoes are actually, they're starting to flower again. They're starting to reflower. I thought that these guys were going to kind of die off after I did that major prune, because I just thought they were pretty much done, but they're actually doing really well. I have a lot of tomatoes on. These guys are ripening up really nicely. We've still been harvesting from these. Look at those, two nice, these are striped Roma variety. And yeah, these guys are doing really well with that opened up airspace, a little bit more airflow through there, a little bit more sunlight maybe for throughout the whole thing, and they seem to be doing just fine. So we'll see how long. I expected these guys to die off, and they're not. So anything at this point is a positive. Anything that happens now is good. So yeah, actually when I pruned it, what they usually tell you to do is don't prune off all the little suckers and not the main stems. And I just thought, I'd try something a little different because I want to learn and see if so instead of that, I actually pruned off the big tree leaves, and these guys were really tiny when I did it. They were just barely poking out here. So I just pruned this back, and I left a couple leaves so it could still photosynthesize, so I'll probably come back and recut that down here. But I left these guys here and they're really starting to boom. So I have a feeling that by doing this, by cutting off all these bigger leaves and leaving the small little suckers there, that this plant might actually be stimulating a lot of new growth because it's wanting to refill its leaf potential. So I think it's going to refill its leaf potential for a while. It's going to bush out for a while, and then we might get another round of production. But I'm not a tomato expert, so I don't really actually know that. That's just my guess, and that's my theory. That's my hypothesis, and we're going to see if it's true or false. Here's Mom. She's emptying her food scraps back here into the chickens, so you can see down there. Squash and watermelon, two of their favorites. So we have a nice two family household here of food scraps for the chickens and helping us feed them on a regular basis. So thanks, Mom.
You're welcome.
Have fun at the beach.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Yep. It's always a good time. So that's what's nice, guys. Also, if you have neighbors or friends or family that don't compost or don't have chickens and you do, ask them to bring their food scraps. I mean, that can be used both for chicken feed and also compost material. You can use that to add nitrogen to your pile. So it's so easy, and a lot of times people are perfectly willing, if you give them a nice bucket with a lid on it or something like that, where they can just throw all their food scraps in it, and then just you go pick it up, and you can have lots of free food and fresh food for your compost piles, for your chickens, for whatever you need it for. Worms. I haven't actually gotten to vermicompost yet, worm farming or keeping worm bins or anything like that, but I will in the future. We have a small worm bin up at Hacienda Rosa. I just haven't gotten one set up here yet, just because I've been focusing on the chickens and getting all these gardens established first. And I'm doing more of a chicken compost system instead of a worm compost. But I do like the worm compost too, so I will get that established at some point. So kind of back to the start here, I kind of teased this at the beginning and then actually didn't go through it. So the arugula babies are going really well. They're super happy. This transplanted Asian kale that I moved actually is just now starting to show me some nice signs of new growth. So I have a feeling that once I remove that banana, it got a little bit more light, and it's deciding that it's going to be happy here and like it here. All the kales that I spaced out throughout here, they seem to be doing pretty well. This guy is the one that was really stunted because he was in the shade and he was just not growing, and transplanted him in here, and he actually seems pretty fine. He seems good. All these peppers, I'm starting to see flower buds here, so I think soon enough we're going to start seeing if these guys are going to be happy and actually produce us some orange bell pepper. Very excited. I also think they're going to be helped quite a bit by the now more sun that's going to get down into them, because I think they just need a little bit more sun. I noticed everything in this bed was starting to reach this way, which is a sign that it's reaching for sun, and I should probably give it a little bit more sun. And so taking that banana and harvesting those bananas and taking down that tree is essentially opening up that sunlight. Now, there's still high shade, guys, because I still have these papayas, but I did prune back the papayas quite a bit. I harvested a bunch of the leaves to add as mulch to the garden as I was redoing the garden down there. So there's actually much less high shade than there was before, but it's okay because these guys, papayas grow pretty abundantly, especially here in the tropics. So these guys will just leaf out really soon, and within a month it'll be a nice high shade layer again, and it'll give these guys some time to get some nice sun before the really heat of the summer comes on. Next bed I really need to come up and focus on, I haven't really focused on this bed at all for a while, is this little green bed in here. Kales are still doing fine. This guy's not getting enough light. That's okay. Same with this one. I don't really mind, guys, if they don't get enough light, because as I open up these bananas, that might change. And these little guys, this is really what I'm going for here, this New Zealand spinach. And I've heard that they like part shade, so I want to keep those kind of like my main perennial crop here. They seem to be doing all right. I think they could probably use a little bit more sun, so I actually might prune back some of these leaves up here and just allow a little bit more access to sun down here without taking away all their leaves in that high shade. So that's probably going to be a step I'm going to take in the near future. Beautiful zinnias here. I don't know if you guys have seen these yet. I forget if I've shown them. But we have some beautiful zinnias attracting bees and butterflies and other pollinators to our site. They're just starting to open up last week, and really excited about seeing them. There's another one about to open up. Of course, we have our Cosmos 2 down here. So this area right here, it's my little pollinator garden. It's planted specifically to attract bees and butterflies to the site. That's what it's here for. My very small, limited backyard, I make sure that I still have places for the pollinators and the flowers to grow, and those kind of things that are going to attract those native insects that are naturally buzzing all over the place. I want them to come into my garden because I want them to do the pollination services, and also there's a lot of pest predators that are attracted by flowers, things like ladybugs and predatory wasps. I have things like the cumin over there, the cumin flower that's now flowering. That's actually going to be attracting predatory wasps, which feed on aphids. So if I start having an aphid problem, if I can get those predatory wasps in here, they're going to feed on those aphids. So same with ladybugs, guys. If you can get ladybugs to your garden, they're going to destroy those aphid problems that you have really quickly. So I'm partnering with nature here. Instead of me trying to fight against it and keep all those things out, I want all those insects and all the birds and all that to come through my property. And yeah, sure, I'm probably going to lose a little bit of crops. I'm going to have a little bit of crop damage. But as long as it's not destroying my crops, I'm okay with partnering completely with nature, because they're the ones that are going to do the work for me, and it makes my job much easier. All right, we'll do one final little thing before we end today. Again, this is just a quick little garden update, homestead update. If you do like what I'm doing, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me get more reach, or share it with the community that might benefit from the work I'm doing here. I just want the more people I can get this out to, the more people I can reach, the more motivation I'm going to have to really keep going with this. Because if I'm just doing this for a couple people out there, you couple people are very, very important, and I want you to have the knowledge that I'm giving. So thank you for watching. I have a couple people from actually throughout the tropics and throughout the world in the tropics that are actually watching this. So that really inspires me and makes me want to keep going. Especially if seeing more of those subscriptions and more of those video views and likes, that kind of thing really it makes my day. It makes me happy. It's exciting to see those things happening, and exciting to see new people watching. So be really grateful if you guys could share the channel with appropriate communities that actually would benefit from this. Don't just spam it all out there. I hate that. But if there is a community that might find some of my videos of use, please share them. That'd be great. Or subscribe if you're watching this and you kind of like what I'm doing, but you haven't really subscribed yet, or you're thinking about subscribing. Please subscribe. Just seeing those little subscriber count goes up gives me so much motivation to keep going, guys. I really can't say it enough. So we actually harvested last week the calabaza that was down here. That was a pumpkin that was a volunteer. It actually just came over the fence right over here. It just climbed over the fence and dropped into the little drainage ditch, and I brought it up. So we actually just harvested that, and we split it with Mom. So she has some calabaza, which is basically a pumpkin. These plantains are really happy. They're doing really well. I'm super excited about seeing them. They keep popping out new leaves and new growth. You can see this is kind of how they start their leaves, and this will open up and become its nice fresh new leaf. But yeah, these guys are super happy, and I'm just noticing right now as I'm talking to you guys, check this out. It's another calabaza vine, and there's a couple flower heads on there. See if those things open up. So that's kind of cool, guys. Right there, it's coming over the fence line here, and we'll see if we actually get any production from it. It's really cool to see that, because I mean, here it's calabaza. It's kind of one of those staple crops. Pretty much everyone has grown it at some point here in Puerto Rico. All the locals make sure they have lots of it growing. So I don't have any of it growing back here because I just didn't have the seeds. We actually have it up at Hacienda Rosa. We already had it for a while, but in this small space, I don't really have a huge patch for pumpkins. But right over the fence, that's plenty of space for pumpkins over there, guys. So I will let them grow over there and then climb onto my property, and I'll reap the rewards of the fruit if they want to come here. And I'm happy to plant them too. Now that we start having them, I'll start planting them and just getting them going, kind of scrambling around our property down here, and we'll see if we get more. Because it sure is nice just to have a random pumpkin pop up, you know. All right, guys, that's about it for today. I just want to give a quick kind of garden homestead update. We do have a couple things in the greenhouse that I need to water, but that's not super important right now. It's basically a couple of zucchinis, and a couple more of the melons and the calendula and the peppers that I planted in this bed down here. And that's just in case some of those get a little bit too stressed when I transplanted them, so I can replace them. So I always grow more than I think I need, because then if some of them die and some of them don't make it, I can replace them within the garden. And then if they all grow great the first time, then I just have extra that I can either plant somewhere else or I can give away. So plant more seeds, plant seeds. That's a good message. Just keep planting seeds, keep having new things growing, keep trying to find places on your property to plant them and grow them, and just start learning. That's the best way to do it. All right, guys, that's it for me today. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for being continued supporters of this channel. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys as my community, and I want to keep serving you guys as best I can. So thanks a lot. Until next time, have a good one.